Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Men of Football. All right, Daz, all right, Tom?
I'm going to say hello, Simon, hello, Tom.
Because that's the running joke.
All right, lads, how are we?
All right.
Good.
How are we doing? Good weekend?
Yeah, great weekend. It was my dad's birthday today. So,
nice.
Yeah, 70 years of age and still criticising my footballing ability.
Brilliant. Happy birthday, Jeff. Although we did have to spend the day with you and Paul, so I don't know whether that's a good birthday.
To be fair, I get that, yeah. He's in therapy tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Jeff. Listen, I just want a quick word with you, Jeff. If you want to end up on my wall of hate, carry on giving Darren crap. Otherwise, watch yourself.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. So, did you have a good day with them, Daz?
Yeah, mate, it was good. It was good to see them, you know, and under the circumstances, it's still difficult, but you do what you can.
A little bit of social distancing in the back garden.
Always. He loved the message you sent him, Si, on the video, because obviously you go way back with my dad.
Yeah. I do. I go back to, I played in goal, and when I was finished, he told me I played crap. But I love that. I love that about him because he was the only person that would actually say stuff like that to your face. And I was just saying to you before, Daz, he come and watched us for over the years a number of times. He probably watched us more than he watched you. And you always knew that you had an absolute blinder if your dad said anything nice to you after the game.
Yeah. If he said you did okay there, that was excellent.
You were brilliant.
Game. Yeah.
Best game of your life. He's a good man.
Was he that bad, Darren?
What's that?
Was he that bad?
He was just honest. And I loved him for that, but also hated him at the same time.
He was brilliant. Like he's a proper Liverpool football man. Been around amateur football all of his life. Good coached some brilliant players. However, I do struggle with the fact that he loves your Paul and probably holds him in greater esteem from a footballing perspective than you, Daz. Would that be fair?
Without a doubt. I'm third best son. We've only got two.
You're not going to be happy with that, Daz.
Although, to be fair, I bought him a car today that said, from your number one child, just so the other two would look in it.
Oh, that's good that he's had a good day. It's tough for everyone during these times to get a bit of time together. So, made up that you ended up doing something for them, Daz. Well done.
Yes, mate. Appreciate the comments, lads.
See, you're a good man as well. I don't think you're half as bad as Thomas makes out.
Listen, we all know who the talent is in this podcast.
Yeah. So speaking of the talent, we continue to get good views on the podcast. We enjoyed the last couple that we put out in the last week. And YouTube has again delivered loads of views, loads of good feedback, more comments than ever. And we also got a lot of comments on the Facebook page, which we'll talk about in a bit. But people who want to listen, want to watch, it's you watch the video on YouTube and then you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio. And you can also go to the website at www.threemenoffootball.com. Tell us what you think. We're trying to knock out content that people are enjoying. We're getting some really good feedback so far, but we're constantly looking for things to talk about, especially while we're in lockdown. There's no football, although I did watch a bit of German football again today. It was okay.
Is that the one with the sound effects?
Yeah, with the piping in the sound of the crowd.
And do you know what? It was actually a better watch.
Yeah.
Than the first time they did it. And I think that'll be something I think the Premier League might tap into.
Gives it a bit of atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I love the way they time it so the referee gets booed and it's just...
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't bad. It was decent quality today as well. I mean, only watched one game, but it was worth watching. And then there's a big game in the week as well. Is it Dortmund Bayern are on in the middle of the week?
Is that Tuesday?
Yeah. 5 o'clock, I think, our time.
Thomas, have you seen any?
I've just seen it fleetingly. I did notice that one of the clubs put a load of cardboard cutouts of themselves, the fans, brilliant. Right around 13,000 of them around the ground, which is absolutely brilliant. Because if you can't be there physically, be there in spirit and have your face watching your team play, you know, you go for the throw-in and see, oh, look at him there.
It's like Andy Ed always puts that video up of him in the crowd at Anfield.
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's got one of them. All right, so we're going to kick off with some comments again. I love this section because I get to take the mickey out of you two, especially Thomas, because he gives us so much ammunition. Would that be fair, Daz?
I think so, mate. I think if you put yourself up there, you've got to be shot down.
Exactly. You've got to be ready to, haven't you? If you're the talent.
If you're the talent. So Thomas is in changing room 1 as well today, apparently.
Well, let's get into the comments and see where it takes us.
There we go.
So comment 1 was, episode 8 was brilliant, entertaining and good chemistry between the lads. I don't know what podcast he's watching. Yeah. Point and counterpoint and absolute madness. Really enjoyed it. And then over to Stockley Park, Old Swan for Billy Birch. The show was great. That was from Tony Smith, Smigger, who we all know from the Zavs, good lad, and he's supporting us. He seems to be really enjoying the podcast, which is great.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony.
I played with it. I played with his brother on a Sunday for years and didn't realise they were related. Yeah.
Tony Smigger's a really good fella, good footballer, man, been around the Zavs for a long time, and again watched us for a long time, unfortunately. Okay, so comment number 2: England has crazy talented individuals, but they just don't know how to play as a team. I think this is actually a really interesting perspective. It seems the rivalry between players from different Premier League teams is too strong to be a unified international team. I feel like the individual ego is above the need of the team, and that's from Matthew Bashou, who is French, lives in Thailand, loves football. But I think that's a really interesting perspective, that he thinks that the breakdown is not about talent. It's all about the egos of the individual players and how they knit together.
Just on that, Simon, I think if you look as well in the England side, most of them play in the Premier League, where if you look at other international sides, they play out across Europe. And I think that might have a massive effect on that, and that rivalry, like he's just said. I know for years there was the North-South divide, and there was...
Yeah, definitely.
And I think there's no doubt we've had world-class players. But I also think coaches and managers have often picked an individual team rather than a team.
Yeah.
And I think the press and the pressure that the managers are under often can dictate what team you're going to pick.
Yeah, I agree.
Like we said last week, I don't think it's been a divide for the players. That's have always been our downfall. I think it's definitely been the mentality. When in the really big pressurised situations, we just haven't performed. And in games where there's no pressure on or through qualifying, we're wiping the floor. We're not even getting out of second gear with some real good quality teams, but we faced them in a pressurised situation.
Yeah.
And our heads go. And you can't put that down to being, opposition between clubs and players not liking each other and stuff, because once you're on the field, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't want the team you're facing to beat you.
Yeah.
Fair point. And I just saw the Stuart Pearce penalty, the second one he took in 1996, was it?
Yeah.
And if you're looking for passion, after he scored it, he was just... You could just see the pizza contract just go down the Swanee.
But I don't think passion was ever our problem. And it sounds like Matthew's agreeing with you, Thomas. I don't think passion was ever our problem. But it is, when we've said it before, you look at some of those teams and you think, how have we not won something or even come close to winning something? We've only had a couple of situations where we've been close. We flattered to deceive a little bit. Okay, so the next comment is, the Thomas Morris Weapon of the Week has to be a segment of the show from now on. And that's from Sean McCusker. I think that's brilliant. That's a really good one.
To be honest, everyone's a weapon and we wall of hate. I'm trying to tone it down. I really want to say some really nasty stuff about them because I really do hate them. So I'm using nice words like weapon and tool and stuff like that instead of using what I really want to say. So I think we'll just keep it in the wall of hate and take it from there. But
yeah, let's see how weapon progresses over time, eh? Okay, so last comment for this week. Brilliant podcast once again. Love the debate around the different formations. You must be doing something right if I'm shouting, it's got to be Rooney when choosing a number 10. Personally, would have had Lampard in before Scholes, but that's the good thing about football. Also, I reckon Victor Meldrew would be great at playing Thomas in a film, as he's always moaning. I thought that's brilliant. Victor Meldrew as Thomas. Then he says, only messing, love his wall of hate, and Pardew was a great shout. Keep up the good work and keep them coming. I really look forward to them every week.
That's brilliant. Is
and
that
that's
from
Dean Booth.
Now, Dean Booth also put a little shout on the Facebook page site.
He did.
And Thomas, he talked about the best left foot he'd ever seen. I think he was watching the 1995 Everton FA Cup final against United.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how good Andy Hinchcliffe's left foot was and his delivery of set pieces. And to be fair, he was brilliant at it. And that's got a bit of a thread going on the Facebook page, and a few people putting up other people with good left foot. Barnes got to mention, Baines you got to mention. Yeah. And I just think stuff like that, what I quite like about the Facebook page is you've got people from all different teams and just having a nice, healthy debate on football.
Yeah, it's great. It's going really well. The interaction on there is brilliant because I just think people are so used to using Facebook as well. So they're much less used to using YouTube. So we're much more likely to get comments on Facebook than we are on YouTube, which is great because, as you say, once that went up, within about 20 minutes, you'd had about 15 people giving names of great left footers. Yeah, and there was a couple of crackers thrown out there like Maradona.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he played with both feet, so I don't know whether you could say he was totally left-footed, but he was definitely a great left footer. And then I'm just going to finish off with a couple of shout-outs. Tony McGill Tony Bullet McGill has been very active on the Facebook page. He's a lad who I played football with for years. Good mate of my dad's as well. Neil Roach, who is giving us good feedback every week, and Billy Birch just keeps giving him crap. So we're calling out Roach. He's a good lad. And then Darren Stokes as well, who's a relatively new listener, but again, really active on the Facebook page. So it's going well. Good feedback. That really helps us every week as well because it sets us up for the conversation. We're also asking people on Facebook what they want us to talk about, and we're getting some brilliant feedback. You know, things like the today's topic. A lot of it has been talked about on Facebook. So we'll come to that in a minute. However, we do have a special guest for today.
Brilliant.
And we've not done this before, other than having Billy Birch do his little record, and we've not done a special guest. But this special guest is a very special one. He's a good mate of all of ours. And it's his birthday. Well, it was his birthday yesterday. And because we didn't get to celebrate with him, we're going to bring in Alan Yates into the podcast. So just give us a minute and I'll get him in. So Alan played for Old Zavs with me and Darren for many years and is a, would we say, tenacious left back, Daz?
If you can say tenacious, yeah.
Yeah. Good lad. Likes a tackle.
Loves a tackle. Not likes, loves a tackle.
Yeah. He threw in some horrible tackles on some of those players in the County Prem. And he loves to score a goal as well.
He's very good. He's currently playing for me for the over 35s for South Liverpool. And as a manager, he's a dream player because you can literally play him anywhere and he does a great job. Yeah, this season he's played in every position apart from goal because he's about 5'2". But literally, he's a dream player. Quality, centre mid, full back. We've played him up front in a few games. He scored a few goals for me. Yeah, it's been great.
Just on that, lads, let's not give him too much praise on the goal situation.
No, well, we're not going to say too much because he's not on yet. I'm only praising him when he listens to it. He'll next week he'll be, aren't them lads nice? But when he comes on now, I'm going to give him loads of shit.
Yeah, you've got him. That's the way it works. That's football, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, there he is. There's our mate Alan Yates.
He must have been doing some Artex in his ears.
Hello, Al.
Hello, boys.
How we doing, mate? We had a couple of technical difficulties then. You just kept showing up as trying to admit, but it just wouldn't let you in.
No, I'm in now. Can you
hear me now, mate? Yeah? So before we get going, happy birthday for yesterday.
All the best, mate.
Nice one.
Happy birthday, Al. How you doing?
All right, a little bit rough today.
I had a text exchange with him earlier on. He was like, I've got a rough head, but I'll get over it by then. Did you go for a run?
No.
Surprise.
I'm gonna. Wait, are we recording now?
Yeah. You're live, mate.
Yeah. I'm gonna ramp the fitness up next week. I'm gonna start getting out more, but I haven't done anything today.
Can I just say, if we weren't recording, you'd have said I've been a lazy get all day. Yeah. Alan, just a quick one, Alan. I'm not one to criticise, but have you lost a lot of weight? Because that jumper's about a large or something, isn't it? You're only medium.
This is a large, this does.
Yeah.
I put a nice blue top on just for Thomas.
Yeah.
Alan, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm sure Simon's got a question for you first, and just to, you look a lot older than me, Alan. I can't believe I'm a year older than you.
You haven't got a chance, Thomas.
Alan, jet black hair. Look at that. Look at the state of him.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of salt and pepper. So, Alan, you got you'll listen to it later on, but you got a nice little intro from us all saying how much we loved you.
Great.
But obviously, you'll have to wait for that because we're not going to be nice to you twice. So we were just saying, but one thing that we talked about was the fact that you loved the tackle.
Yeah, gotta love a tackle, especially at 50-50. Was prone to leave going over the top of the ball at times.
No, mate, I can't remember that.
Yeah, couple of red cards.
Just for the insurance.
I used to be an emotional player, so I used to get sometimes that get the better of me, but not anymore. Stay on my feet now.
Well, mate, I think that was one of the things that we had nailed. Was we had players who were emotional. We had players who wanted to win and would do anything to win, and you were always one of them. So I always knew that when we went into a big game, that if I was going to go into a tackle, then I always knew that you'd be there with me.
Yeah.
Now Darren, on the other hand, would be somewhere 30 yards behind, just watching and pointing.
Yeah, organised.
I made a career out of watching, pointing, and telling people what to do. No one bloody listened. Wasted time.
Calming things down, Darren.
Yeah, that's right. Calming things down. All right, Al. So tell us what you did yesterday for your birthday.
Got up in the morning, had a nice breakfast, and then my family come down at different points in the day.
Love it.
We had some food ordered later on. Did like a social distancing thing in the garden, so I was able to see the family and that. And having Zambuca shots with Robbie Bodell at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Never good, that.
Surprise, surprise, that Bodell's involved in Zambuca shots.
Yeah.
Didn't he play for us for a bit?
Yeah, he did, Robbie, yeah.
Was he centre mid?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could play at the back as well, Robbie.
Oh, he couldn't. No, he was definitely a centre mid.
Great left foot and loves the tackle.
I was going to say, Robbie liked the tackle as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
But Alan's got a great family. His dad's a big football man as well.
Yeah.
And I know that Kerry has looked after you really well for the last 48 hours and tried to do loads for you for your birthday.
Yeah, she has. She tried to organise a surprise party. Obviously, that went by the wayside, and we were supposed to be going to Vegas tomorrow.
Oh.
So that was cancelled. So we've just put it to next year now. So I'm going to celebrate it next year as well.
Brilliant. We agreed on the phone the other day that actually once you get over 40, you don't celebrate a birthday again. So you might as well just keep celebrating your 40.
I'm just going to be 40 now for the next 5 years.
Why not? All right, mate. So one of the things that we wanted to ask you, and the main reason we got you on, was to tell us what's your greatest moment in football. So we've played together for years. We've known each other. We know you're a big blue. We need a little bit of balance because Thomas is such a bitter red. So we thought we'd get you on and ask you that question. You've obviously had some amazing times playing football, watching football. What's the one that really stands out for you?
Well, I've been thinking about it really. I was 6 when last time Everton won the league. So I couldn't really take it in. And then there's a massive jump then. The cup run in 95 was brilliant. That semi-final against Tottenham at Ellen Road was unreal. And Amakachi was scoring and celebrating. But going back to 2009, we travelled down to Wembley for the semi-final, the FA Cup, against Man United. And again, I travelled down with Robbie. And we stayed over in Covent Garden. But the actual day itself, obviously beating United on penalties, that was like an emotional day as well. It was just a shame that game wasn't the final. Yeah. Because I went down again when we played Chelsea in the final. Obviously, we lost 2-1. But that was that. I know it sounds daft because it's a semi-final, but for enjoyment reasons, that was hard to beat, really.
Yeah.
And as I say, going to the 80s, I couldn't. I was 6, so I couldn't really take it in. So that was the one I picked. That day, Jagielka scored in the winning penalty. Brilliant.
Such a shame, though, wasn't it, that he didn't turn up in the final?
That Chelsea team, they were quality.
They were good, but I think that if Everton would have played as well as they had before, they'd have turned them over.
Yeah, I mean we didn't play well, like.
No. Yeah, that often reminds me of the time Villa beat Liverpool in the semi-final a couple of years ago. We were outstanding that day. And then I went to Wembley to see it against Arsenal, and we just didn't turn up. Yeah. It's almost like you put everything into that semi-final, and you can't get it back up there.
Yeah.
Well, we've been there, haven't we? You know, that the semi-final is a very different day than the final day. And I almost think that there's more nerves around the semi-final. Well, certainly for me, there was more nerves around the semi-final than the final. Because in the final, it is what it is, isn't it? You get involved in the day, it's a lot of fun and stuff. But the semi, there's so much pressure on it.
But that was a massive high, so it was almost like a little bit of an anticlimax, not going for the FA Cup final. I mean, I suppose there's a discussion on whether they should be the semi-final, should be there. You know what I mean? I suppose it takes the gloss off the final. I suppose.
So I went to the last semi-final. Everton Liverpool.
Yeah.
At the new Wembley, and it was an amazing day. I'm only saying that because Liverpool won, but the whole experience, the travelling down, the day out was brilliant. And it should only be kept for a final. It shouldn't be. It should be a neutral ground somewhere around the country, or they go to 2 legs and do it over 2 legs, home and away, and to get to the FA Cup final. But it was absolutely brilliant. And on that day, Everton were outstanding. And then David Moyes changed his tactics at half-time. You were winning 1-0 at half-time, weren't you? And Fellaini was playing in a bit of an advanced role and was causing us all kind of problems. And he dropped them back just into the midfield. And we just ran riot. And then Luis Suarez got loads of time and got into the game. I think he scored. And then Andy Carroll scored the winner, didn't he?
We had Jelavic, didn't we, on fire then?
You did. He was on that run of goal scoring at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it was an absolutely fabulous day. And I just wanted to ask you a question, Al. I obviously play a character in this, and as if like I'm really bitter. And when you know me personally, I'm not really that bitter. But how do you feel as an Evertonian? How do you feel towards Liverpool, and how do you feel about the rivalry within the city? What do you think about it coming from on the blue side?
I think it's got a bit more nasty over there. I think it's a bit more heated over the last couple of years. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's not as friendly anymore. I suppose it depends on the age as well, and if you've played football and stuff and you're educated within the game. But I've definitely noticed the banter isn't it's not nice at times. So it has got a little bit more heated, I think, over the last few years. Probably because Liverpool are doing so well.
Social media plays a big part in that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then the problem is that people get dragged into it as well. And you see people making comments who you've known for years and they're not like that, but they just get dragged into saying things. You think, well, that we know that's not you, but just because that's the way the banter's going, there's some things that you just don't say.
It's over the top, innit?
Yeah.
So at times, I don't think different social media platforms help, but
no,
because people just put stuff on to wind other people up. But it can get, and it tends to be some morons will probably spoil it for the rest really, and then go over the top.
I think, Alan, I mean, obviously I'm a neutral, and I do think it's a generation thing, though. I think you've touched the nail for me on the head. I think, when I was growing up in the 80s, both Liverpool and Everton were successful, and the banter was friendly. You'd see uniquely, you'd see Wembley, blue and red everywhere. It wouldn't be a blue half and a red half. The mix, families would mix, and it'd been a brilliant occasion. And I think as time's gone by, I think there's a hatred real hatred that's come through from the younger generations. We could be wrong. This is just an observation. But I do think that banter, as we used to call it in the changing rooms, or, it is hatred now. And people are saying some nasty things that lead then to repercussions in some way.
Yeah, definitely. And we see that all the time as well, don't we? Because we're around footy lads. But I think we're lucky that we're surrounded by people who we all know each other. We all get on well. I mean, my brother's an Everton supporter. You don't get much closer than that. My granddad, who I spent years with, was an Everton supporter. All of my uncles are Everton supporters. That's just the way it is. But I do think, as you're right, it's that very much a generational thing, because when we were growing up, that was just normal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, my mum's an Evertonian, my dad's Liverpool. I mean, they don't speak, to be fair.
Genius.
Don't get me wrong, I'm made up when Liverpool lose. I'm not, you know what I mean? I would be honest, but, you only take it so far, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Daz, you've got a question for Alan as well, haven't you?
Who, me?
Darren, yeah.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, Alan, you've obviously you've played with all us, and over the years you've played some great players. Can you just name a couple of lads who you felt? I mean, obviously Robbie's going to get a mention because he's your best mate again. But is there any lads that you played with over the years that you thought, you know what, they could have played higher? Exclude us three, obviously.
Well, I didn't come into the equation.
We've all played with lads, and you're thinking, why didn't he play higher? So Alan, I'm asking you, give it 2 or 3 lads who you think could have played higher.
Trying to think.
And I'll put you on the spot there.
It's a hard one, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
Do you know what? I always thought John Waits could have played higher, and he was a top keeper. I always wanted him to get a little chance, an opportunity. Then, like Sir John Steen, spunky for the Zavs, so he was left foot. He was unreal. And then you've got, obviously you had Ben, God rest his soul. He was quality, a leader. Yourself, Simon, all different characteristics.
I said don't mention us.
Don't mention Simon.
Hey, we were lucky, weren't we, mate? We were surrounded by some amazing footballers in those years.
Yeah. Oh, not half. And Paul, Dan's brother.
Oh, for God's sake!
What a finisher! What a finisher with that left foot. But yeah, just lots of that. I mean, we had lots of great players. But I reckon those. Neil Maguire.
Oh,
I would have liked to. I mean, he did play at a good standard anyway. But I thought he had the tools to kick on at a higher level as well.
Yeah, he did. He was a quality player and still playing now. Obviously not running as much, but to be fair, he never ran that much anyway. He never
loved it. Yeah. Loved the cross-field pass, didn't he?
Didn't he?
In them Hollywood.
Yes, when he made that cross-field pass, he'd always sprint for 10 yards afterwards and then just sort of slow down.
Just a marvelous pass. All right, all right, Al, I've got one for you just before you go. You've been coaching for years now with the kids. So what stands out for you with the kids? Have you got a memory that you can share with us about the kids game?
Yeah, well, I've had them since they were under 6. And obviously my son's in the team, Thomas, and he's 13 now. I mean, we played in different leagues, but we played in, I was trying to think about it, but we played in the Edge Hill Junior League, and the games were on a Sunday morning on Botanic Park, off Edge Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
And in 2016, we went from on the smaller side of games up to 9-a-side on the bigger pitches in the bigger goals. And we moved them up in age group, which is a concept. Some people don't like doing that, but we'd won the league the previous year at our own age. So we moved them up to 9-a-side. So they were playing against kids a year older. Anyway, it was a brilliant season and they were unreal. They finished runners-up in the league and it was the South Liverpool who won it. But we went through the cup and we played South Liverpool in the cup final. And with the kids, I walked out with the kids to the Champions League music. It was brilliant. And anyway, the game got underway and we settled early, scored, so we were winning 1-0. And then Thomas, my lad, got the second goal in the second half to seal the win. And I couldn't contain myself. I ran on the pitch and picked them up. But for the pure emotion, and for me, lad scored as well. And we won. The size of the trophy they got, the kid, it was bigger than the kids. Brilliant. So they were lifting that up. I mean, that was me. Lots of great times, but that's the one that stands out. And it was a brilliant. And they were a boss. They were a boss team, South Liverpool. So that was the best one. That's
a great memory. I love that. I think that when you're coaching the kids, and you and Dan have had more of this than me and Thomas have, but I did it a bit when I was in the States, and there's nothing better than when the kids are winning, especially if they win something like a league or a cup or something. You've trained all year for it, and then they're doing the things that you've been coaching them on. Brilliant.
Do you know the hardest part though, that Alan, is when you're coaching your own lad, and the fact that he's gone and got the winner. For me, it just cements it so much more.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I mean, Thomas probably gets the rough end of the deal with me being his dad, do you know what I mean? And the manager.
Definitely. Yeah.
You take your own kid off before you upset anyone else.
Of course.
Just to keep people happy sometimes. But yeah, it is difficult at times being a dad and a coach and a manager, do you know what I mean?
Alan, I tried that with Simon, to take Simon off. No, because we're brother-in-laws.
Yeah.
It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the pain of taking him off. I have to just let him go, just stay on. It's not worth it. 2 days of phone calls. Why did you do that?
Alan, quite often, Thomas looks at me and I go, take me off. It's easier. It's easier. Just give 10 minutes. Just take me off.
I've heard it a few times, to be honest, just to keep people happy.
Alan, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. Love the fact that it's your birthday weekend and we get you on. Brilliant, as we expected. Thanks for the greatest memories, mate, and have a good rest of your weekend.
Oh, brilliant. Keep it up, lads. I've really been enjoying these episodes, so keep it going. A lot of people have said a lot of positive things about it as well.
Checks in the post, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks
for having me on. See you soon.
Right. See you now.
Bye now.
Okay, he's now gone, so we can be nice about him again.
Oh, didn't he go on? And that accent, where's he from?
Hey, do you know what the best thing about Alan now is as well? So he was a great defender. You could play him anywhere across the back. Not so much at centre half because he's short, but you could play him centre half with another centre half that was tall. But now you can play him anywhere on the park, and he's brilliant. He gives you 100% every minute of the game. Runs all day. Yeah. And his touch has got better over the years. He's just got better and better and better.
Right. It hasn't.
You're just jealous, Dad.
Of everyone. He had pace. He could run all day. He could pass the ball. Everything I couldn't do, he could do.
He scored a couple of goals.
No, hey, you know I've scored one every year for the last 20 years. It's enough.
Oh, not that story again. One thing I do like about Alan is his composure. He's got great composure. You know, some of the goals he scored where he's took his time and waited for the goalie to go down and then just knocked it over them, or just little sidestep and slots it in. Great lad, great player. I'm very lucky to have him in the side.
And to be fair, it's great that someone like him's coaching. I think it's important that someone like him is involved in the game at grassroots and bringing lads through, because they'll play the right way.
Oh, mate, he's so proud as well. He posts pictures of it all the time. I love that. We've got a couple of mates who do that, and I love the fact that they're that proud of the kids that they're coaching. That's what it's all about. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the other subject for today, which we've talked about quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. Daz, do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, so the next thing we want to talk about is it's Mental Health Week this week. Up to today, it was from the 17th to the 24th, and you've seen ex-pros come on, and Harry's Heroes in particular have shown it. How important mental health is, and the trauma that players go through quite often when they've left the game as well, because you don't hear about it during the playing years because it's just almost accepted. And so we're talking about mental health for the next part of the show, and I think it's really important that we talk about it, because I don't think men do talk about it, and I think it's something that we should be highlighting and saying, you know what, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Well, I think generally in society as well. So one of the things that is shocking is the amount of men between 15 and 35 that commit suicide. It's crazy. It's like, I can't remember what the percentage was, but
so I think there was a stat like 1 every so many minutes or something was committing suicide, men.
Yeah. But one in 4 people experience mental health issues at some stage in their life. Over 10% of the population are experiencing depression at any one time. I mean, that's a crazy number.
Yeah.
And you know, we're lucky, and again, we've all got our own stories. But the fact that the biggest killer of men between 18 and 35 is suicide tells you all you need to know about what's going on with mental health. And I think you just hit the nail on the head, Daz. It's almost like a taboo subject, so it's not talked about that often. So when it's not talked about, then it festers and it gets worse, and that depression sinks, and then people feel like there's no way out. And then you apply that to football, and we've talked a couple of weeks ago about the academy system and what happens when kids come out of the academy system. And apparently there are up to 600 kids every year released at 16 out of the academy system. I mean, that's a crazy number.
And it'd be interesting to say how many of those stay in the game or have mental health issues when they get released.
Well, that's at the end of that 5 to 600 is at the end of the YTS. Yeah. What they say is 5 out of 6 men and women who get into a YTS are not in football professionally by the age of 21.
Yeah. Thomas, what are your thoughts on this? Because you manage us, if you like, as a team, and you've managed a team for years. Has anyone ever spoke to you about anything, being a manager, or have you had conversations with people, or is it almost still that taboo subject?
No, it's well, it is definitely a taboo subject. I just this lockdown alone, I've sent a couple of messages out on our group chat via WhatsApp, just to ask the lads, is everything all right? I know it's really difficult. There's a lot of people, you know, myself included, where you're just so used to being in a routine, going to work, doing your shift or doing your 9 to 5 or doing your office job, coming home, doing your exercise, and then you live your normal life and you live around your routine. And then this coronavirus has totally affected loads of people. And I often send the message out just to say, is everyone all right? You know, anyone got any issues? And the response is really good. But I've never had anyone come back to me to say, you know, I've been really low this week or I'm really struggling. But personally, I know people that are in that position and just don't want to talk about it. It's kind of like, I'm ashamed. You know, you know, people think I'm this hard case, or people think, you know, I'm the life of the party. And whenever I'm with people, my job or my thoughts are, I'm going to be laugh and joke and brighten everyone's day up. But really inside, they're absolutely dying inside. And you can sort of see it in some people. And you'd often think, you know, should we be doing more? Should we be asking them, you know, privately? And then it's almost like, am I being a little bit out of order here? Just taking them to one side and saying,
yeah,
listen, mate, is everything all right? You know, I can see you're looking a bit worried, or you're not your usual self. And I think you should be able to do that. But I personally sometimes do get a bit worried about asking people and thinking, am I stepping on someone's toes? Am I going to make them feel worse because people are noticing a little change in them? So it's a very fine line. It's quite worrying sometimes when you're looking at people.
Yeah. Daz, have you ever felt like it's something that you've struggled with?
I'll be honest with you, now and again I have. And now and again I think, again, what people see on the outside isn't necessarily what's actually going on in the inside. And I think Thomas hit a nail on the head there again by saying you almost want to put a persona across to people of yeah, life's great, this is great, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And actually inside it's not, you know, and you know, I'm very lucky. And the reason I feel I'm very lucky is because, and I'm not just going to say this, but I've got people around me who look out for me. I've got people around me who text or phone or speak. You two guys are there for me no matter what. And, you know, I appreciate that. But I've got people around me who just pick up the phone and give me a call. I've got people around who give me a text, invite me to things. Because, you know, and I'm putting it out there now, I am on my own. And this lockdown is difficult sometimes. Through my work, and I'm a teacher, so I work 2 days a week, roughly, there or thereabouts. And that's massive for me because I get to have a conversation with people throughout the day, and that's important. So there are times when you feel, no, I've never felt my mental health has suffered, but I can understand where people are coming from. And the question I want to ask you two is, what triggers then that mental health issue? What is the trigger for people to go, actually, I can't get out of this now? Because I know what I think it is. But I want to ask you two guys. So, Si, do you want to go first?
I think that's a really difficult one, Daz, because I think the point of mental health is it's really personal. And that's why a lot of the time you struggle to help, because it's so personal that people feel like they either don't want to share because they feel ashamed. They don't want to share because they don't think you can take what they're going to tell you. And they're so caught up in it that you don't talk about it. And I think similar to you, Daz, I don't outwardly think that I suffer from mental health issues, but certainly the lockdown plays havoc with your mind and how you think about things, and, you know, overanalyzing everything you do and spending a lot of time. You know, I've got 2 kids and a wife here, but I'm working, you know, 12, 14 hours a day every day. And it puts you under a mental strain. Now, I don't think I show it, but maybe I do. Maybe people around me would say that I do show it sometimes. But what I know is that when I'm struggling, I don't sleep. I really struggle with sleep. And then the problem is that as soon as you're not sleeping properly, it affects every other part of your life, because then you're tired and you're irritable and your response is not like it normally would be. But then the challenge is, do you have people around you who are going to say, are you okay? What's going on? To get you, because you're talking about the trigger, Daz. I think maybe the trigger is that just starts a spiral. And if you can't stop that spiral, either yourself or the people around you can't stop it, then you're lost. And it just goes on and on and on, and away you go. And then how do you get back from that? Because you're so far away from what you think normal is, that it's really difficult to get out. And I think that's where it goes.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's like your normal and my normal are two different things as well. I just want to touch on Thomas then. Do you know, like obviously the ex-footballers have come out and you know, they say mental health is also linked to drinking. It's linked to other things. And I know a lot of people in the public eye go to drink or go to other things because it takes them away from what's really happening. And for that moment, they're in a different place. So Paul Gascoigne talked about he loved playing football for 90 minutes on a Saturday because no one could touch him. Yeah. The demons weren't there. Everybody was away. He could just go and play. And that was his best moment of the week. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I watched the Harry's Heroes, and I was watched a little bit what Lee Hendry was saying. Yeah. And I found it was really hard. So he openly come out and said he tried to take his life a couple of times, overdosed, due to getting into financial problems, due to property market collapsing. And then he had what he said was he had the shame of dealing with the repossession of his property and his parents' property, and he couldn't get that out of his head with how to deal with it. And he got into worse and drinking and spiraling deeper into depression. And Simon, I think, hit the nail on the head brilliantly with the corkscrew effect. Once you start going down that corkscrew, carrying on going down, it's like building blocks on top of you, forcing you further and further away from where you want to be. And trying to get there, you're having to unwind back up mentally. And I think when you get to that stage, he desperately needed help. And luckily enough, he got the help. But I liked who he was talking to and said, you know, obviously you've got the issues and the shame of your mum, your parents losing the house. But what do you think your mum would rather have? Would you rather have your house and whatever you've bought for her in the past from your football career, or have the son that she adores and she's brought through? And for it to not click, I think is really worrying. And I didn't half feel for him. I sat and watched it, and I was a bit, I was a bit choked watching it, seeing how difficult it was, and just saying, I'd really like someone to give him a hug now. Yeah. And just say, listen, mate, come and talk to me. We're here for you. We're a supportive group. We want to, help you build, you mentally back up and give you that support and the encouragement when you're feeling low. Get on the phone, come and speak to me.
Well, you remember the two people that were talking to him were Vinnie Jones and Paul Merson. So Vinnie Jones has been through similar addiction issues. Yeah. And he also lost his wife. Then Merson has gone through alcoholism and gambling. Yeah, addiction, and he says in that Harry's Heroes 12 months ago, this saved my life. Yeah. I was on my way to killing myself. He was drinking every day. He hadn't trained, he hadn't done anything, and then he did the Harry's Heroes, and then since then he's been on a better path. And then in the same program, you're seeing what's his name, Neil Ruddock. Yes, and now. Again, what you're seeing there is he's somewhere on that spiral.
Definitely.
And his emotions are all over the place. And again, when we're not professional, we don't know how to spot it. But that seems like that's him getting out of control. And you've got someone sat there in Paul Merson who's been through that exact thing, or his version of that exact thing. And he can see it. That's massively worrying.
Yeah. Do you think it was a cry for help, Ruddock, going on that show?
Possibly, because he didn't end up playing, and he had the heart problems before they even started. So maybe,
yeah, it's interesting because I think what we're all talking about really is that pressure of life, and the pressure that you put on yourself, and the pressure that others put on you, and it's going to explode somewhere, and to get that release, quite often you turn to other things that aren't good for you. So when you're coming through and you're younger and I'm going to go through the academies again, sorry. But when you go through academies and you play football, you're almost in a protective bubble from real society. Yeah. And then when you come into real society, suddenly you're not who you used to be because you've always had things done for you. And I'm not saying this is the cause for everybody, but professional footballers in particular and people like athletes and people like songwriters, singers, group, all those people, quite often they have an addictive trait somewhere. So people like Elton John, Robbie Williams, all these people, because they want to maintain the high, and that maintaining the high is difficult. So they often, after they've played a game, what's the thing anybody does when they go after a game of football? Let's go to the pub.
Yeah, let's go and have a pint.
Because they want to maintain the high for longer.
Yeah.
And then that high suddenly becomes a big low. And then they want to get onto the high again. So how do they do that? They go back on the addiction, and it could be whatever it is. And you're suddenly, with 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 months down the line, you're on that spiral, Simon, that you just talked about. And that's where you've got to have, for me, people around you who actually love you for who you are, not what you've got or what you can give them.
And that's the problem with footballers, because they're surrounded by people, and sports people in general. The whole sport and the ability to be a top-class, world-class sports personality or sports person is all built on confidence. It's instilled in you from day one. And back to what you were saying before about the academy, that starts now. It used to start at 11, 12, 13. Now it's starting at 4 and 5. So right through from 4 and 5, right through to 16, you're told that you're the best and you're going to be a footballer. You're around football all the time, and they give great educations and everything. Now, I'm not slagging off academies in terms of what they attempt to do, but there's something lost there. And apparently 50% of mental health is established when you're 14. So 50% of mental health issues are already established when you're 14 years old. So then if you go through the academy system and you're let go before YTS, you're let go at 16. At that stage, there are thousands of kids every year that are let go. Then you go through the YTS, and apparently up to 600 kids every year are dropped at 18 and not given a professional contract. So you've got thousands of kids within a couple of years that are going through massive turmoil. Then they'll go through the rejection part. So hang on, so I'm not good enough anymore. I'm not the best. And then they'll maybe go and play in a local amateur league or lower leagues, realize that actually it's much tougher, because when they're at a club and they're being protected, it's totally different when you go into the lower leagues or when you go into amateur football. It feels totally different. All of a sudden, you're playing with men. You're playing with people who are driven to win, and they're not there to protect you. That's an alien environment. And then all of a sudden, you think they're going to cope with it. It's not going to happen.
But again, though, it comes back to, Simon, those people around you who we joked before about my dad saying, you had a bad game. But actually, you need people around you like that who are going to keep you on the level and not build you up to get knocked down. And this takes me now to the next point we want to really make is that's what the British press do all the time to our great players. The social media in this country and across the world is ridiculous. And so, Thomas, your thoughts on social media linked to mental health?
Well, it's going to be massive, isn't it? Because there's loads of different aspects to it. The first aspect is the trolling and the bullying that mega stars get. Anyone, footballers, you see a footballer put a tweet of anything up. So, for example, Virgil van Dijk put a picture of himself back at Melwood the other day. If you were to scroll through the comments underneath, minus the Liverpool fans, you will see racist abuse. You will see vile things aimed from other supporters from other clubs, aimed at him. Hundreds, and there'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments just aimed at that player. And it's the same for everyone. It's the same for anyone that's of celebrity status. In fact, for normal people, in a couple of weeks' time, there may be someone that doesn't like what we've said in an episode and start giving us abuse on our Facebook page. It's something that we'd have to deal with if it come up. But again, going back to Harry's heroes, Lee Hendry was saying that he went out on a night out and he messed about. He lost a bet and he had to go around this restaurant and acted like a dog. And he got someone in the restaurant, it was a Sun reporter, phoned up and told Graham Taylor, who was the manager at the time, and he got fined 2 weeks' wages. Now, nowadays, he can't go out to a restaurant. He can't go out with his family to a restaurant unless he knows the restaurant. He's got a prior booking and he's got a little corner blocked off because everybody in the world now has a camera phone. So, just for example, Darren, you've been out with me many occasions. Now, I wouldn't do a harm to anybody, but I make a fool of myself most nights when I go on the aisle. doing something stupid, dance around, being jovial. If I was a professional athlete and I tried to just be my normal self in that type of environment, I would either make the papers or I would be in trouble with my club. So you can't be yourself. So the character of us three have got our own different characters. But if we went out, we wouldn't be able to be ourselves out. So then you then become an insular because you know you can't go out. You can't go out in the general public. You couldn't go out to town and go on the ale unless you had an entourage to protect you. There's so many things that you couldn't do. You then become a prisoner. And we're feeling really bad now for being in for 9, 12 weeks because of COVID. Now, these players will be going, training. They live a fabulous life and earn fabulous amounts of money. But they're actually not living a life because they can't go and do everyday things that we do without being harassed, filmed, and they can't do anything which would look or be perceived to be what a professional athlete should do and not a human being.
I think, Thomas, you just hit the nail for me. It's like you talking about the bubble. And the problem is when you're in that bubble and you can't go out anywhere, you're a prisoner of society. And I think once you come out of that prison of society and you stop playing, and still people think they own you. People think they own you because they go to the game, or you're on social media, or you're Twitter and your Facebook and all these things and Instagrams. And yet some footballers a little bit idiotic, should we say, and you know, are fools around the town and get themselves into trouble where they don't need to. But on the whole, a lot of people think they own these footballers because they're on social media. Yeah. So for me, you know, if I go to a restaurant and I see a footballer, I don't approach them. And the reason I don't approach them is because they're with the family. But some people don't respect them enough to do that. And so they'll go over, and yet they pay the wages, but that doesn't mean you can harass them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think we've got to step back, society, from the social media and thinking we can just say anything on social media. I think the police need to get more involved. And if you make comments that have a racial, homophobic comment, you should be taken to court or something should happen. And until that happens, people will continue to do it.
Yeah, I think the reality is they're just keyboard warriors, and I think the sports celebrities now have got to a stage where they have ways of handling that. I watched a couple of nights ago the Cristiano Ronaldo interview with Piers Morgan, and it was brilliant. So he's one of the world's best players, number one, number two, depends on what side you argue. Outstanding. And some crazy amount of money. They were talking about like the cars he's got. He's got 2 Ferraris, 2 Bugattis. Yeah. You know, he's got a couple of Rolls Royces.
Simon, will you explain what they are afterwards to me?
Yeah. And he was talking about his lifestyle. And he was saying, you know, my lifestyle is I stay home with my family. He said, we don't go anywhere. He said, he hasn't gone. He said, how many times do you think I've gone to the park with my kids in the last 2 years? And Piers Morgan was like, well, I don't know. And he said, 0. I haven't been once. He's got young kids. And then what happens is that he'll put videos up or pictures up of him in his fabulous house, in his garden with his kids. And then you start getting the trolls underneath about, you know, look at him showing off. But he's in his house and he's bought himself this nice house because, hey, he's a very successful man. He's one of the best players in the world. He gets paid a load of money. But also, that's one of the ways that he can enjoy his money because he can't go and do some of the things that we do. He couldn't go to cinema. He can't just go out for a pint. Yeah. You know, as you say, Thomas, I think you're absolutely right. We're dealing with this lockdown now, and it's really difficult from a mental health perspective. Times that by 10 for the stuff that footballers are dealing with every day. And it's almost dismissed because they get paid a load of money. They live this amazing lifestyle. We all wanted to be footballers and we couldn't do it. So there's a certain amount of jealousy there. But you can't dismiss the fact that their lives are really difficult to live. And for him, that's never going to end. That will go on for the rest of his life. For some players, they get to 35, 40, and that goes away. Now, that's where I think a lot of the problem is that the players that sit just below that tier, when they get to 35, 40, they're still idolized, but not in the same way. They get a little bit more freedom, but they start getting a little bit more freedom and going gambling and going drinking and going off the rails. And then they've surrounded themselves over the years with the same types of people and people who will enable that. And maybe they don't have the family that they need. They don't, they split up with the wife and the kids and all that kind of stuff. And they're dealing with massive amounts of pressure in an environment that is really alien to them. And they just can't cope with it. I mean, that's got to be a real challenge when you come out the game at maybe 35, 40, and you've never had to deal with that before.
And also, people want to have a pop up them in pubs and clubs or whatever. Look, you know, what happened to Ross Barkley in Liverpool and other players when they're out over the years. And can you imagine we had social media in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just phenomenal. I think people need to just step back from every celebrity, not just footballers, by the way, but celebrities, and just take a step back and think before they actually do anything. Because actually, Caroline Flack, a couple of weeks back, months back, what happened was awful. Yeah. And, you know, 3 weeks later, people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But for 3 weeks, everyone was nice.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, it's gone now. But no, we've got to keep reminding ourselves is, would we say to these people in public, or would we like someone to say that's about us or our parents or our daughters, sons, anybody? And the answer is no. So we need to urge society to take a step back.
Well, you've got the one really high-profile one, and there's loads that have happened. You know, you got Clark Carlisle, who tried to kill himself a couple of times, jumped in front of a lorry. But the big one was Gary Speed.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you've still got a bit of a hangover from that in football now. You hear Shearer talks about it all the time, and every time he talks about it, I think he's going to break down.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a comment about him because he felt that way about him, and he got to a stage where he didn't think he could handle it anymore and took his own life. I mean, if you can do something, we talked earlier about picking up the phone and sending a text. If you can do something to make people feel like they've got support or they've got someone to turn to, just be nice to people, just be there for people. It's not difficult. And actually, these are the people that when they go, they're like, oh, I can't believe that. I can't believe I didn't know. Make the effort.
Yeah.
Go and try and, you know, make sure that people are not on their own. Reach out to them, send them a text, get on a video call, get them on a podcast, have a little bit of a laugh with them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Keep us all entertained.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, we'll finish that off. We could go on about that all day. I think it's a really important subject, the most important thing that we've talked about in the 10 podcasts that we've done. We all feel very strongly about it. And at a time like this, it's never been more important to look after people's mental health. So speaking of mental health, one of the ways that Thomas looks after his mental health is he comes on the podcast and he goes after someone that's a celebrity. So all of those things that we've just been saying about social media, Thomas is now going to hammer a footballer, but in the nicest possible comedy way. So Thomas, tell us who this week is on your wall of hate. Who are you mostly hating?
So this week, I'm mostly hating one of Liverpool's biggest rivals. He was a player for them. He won everything he could win in the domestic game. Alan Hansen famously said that they wouldn't win with kids, and he was one of the ones that proved them wrong. It's going to give me great pleasure this week to put Gary Alexander Neville on my wall of hate.
Oh, you full named him as well. I love that.
Gary Alexander Neville. I mean, you think that's bad. His dad, who's an absolute weapon, is called Neville. So I'm just going to leave it there. So he played for Man United and probably is one of the most hated players the Premiership's ever had, Gary Neville. I can say that because I really hate him. He played 85 times for England, which I've got no idea how. He kept out my favourite player. He kept him out of the side, Jamie Carragher, who was flying at the time at right back. He was flying. And he should have, Carragher should have got a lot more games over Gary Neville. He also overtook for the number of, for the record for appearances at fullback, more than Phil Neal, a proper fullback, of quality. So Gary Neville got to fullback because he's a failed centre-half. He was an absolute failed centre-half. And he only went to right back because he had his mate, the fucking superstar weapon, David Beckham, playing in front of him. Putting him there. So Gary Neville was shit. Let's all be honest. He was shit. He couldn't pass. He couldn't defend. He couldn't tackle. He was an absolute wimp. Honestly, you needed Roy Keane to help him in the tunnel. You got 15 of your mates behind you. You can't turn around and say, I'll have you. Anyone can do that. So he was crap. All he was good for was being really angry on the pitch. He was then made captain by Al Whiskey Nose Ferguson of Man United. He was made captain. The only captain I'd have picked for that side was Captain Birdseye. Literally, Gary Neville. So, one of the things that really wound me up about Gary Neville was Ferguson said he was the best right back of his generation. Are you having a laugh, Ferguson? Did you not see Steve Finnan play? You were having a laugh. Honestly. I mean, one of the worst and best things that ever happened to him was they beat us at Anfield and Gary Neville ran the fastest I've ever seen him run, shrieking like a little girl towards the crowd in Anfield, screaming, trying to entice the crowd. But he got a nice £50,000 fine off the FA the following week, which I was absolutely delighted about. He then totally embarrassed himself and become a failed manager going over to Valencia. What an absolute fool he was. He made a laughingstock of himself. And, you know, I know this. You know, football management isn't cut out for everyone, Gary. So he went back to Sky with his tail between his legs, messing on his, you know, Sky pad. And he's become a pundit. And this is why I really, really hate him. And he's an absolute weapon of mass destruction. I actually like him as a pundit. It absolutely kills me. I really like his stuff. I also really like what he recently did. He didn't furlough his staff in his hotel, and he gave his hotel up free for the NHS. Gary Neville, I absolutely hate you for me liking you. So, for that, I am putting you on my wall of hate.
Yeah, well done. Yeah.
Well done. And can we just say, Thomas, Simon, this is just a little bit of fun. Obviously, we're giving a backhanded compliment to Neville there.
It's a little bit of fun for me and you, Dad. It's not for Thomas. He's going to blow a blood vessel.
Best fun.
My God.
Oh, brilliant, yeah. Brilliant.
So I agree. He's an outstanding pundit. Him and Carragher together are fantastic. I don't actually think he was as bad a footballer as he was making out he was, though.
Yeah, but I don't care.
It's all for effect.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the fact that he just showed everyone your pink handbook.
I know, it's for me notes. I mean, you did say we needed to get a bit more professional about it. So when I got myself a little a project book and I do my little research, I throw it in, and then you told me not to read off me script and not to write a script. So what I do now is, like you said, I'm finding it hard because, you know, I'm not used to this world. But I have my little bullet points, and I go off my bullet points, and that's supposed to trigger in my mind, you know, a sentence or something that I'm going to talk about. But what it really does is make me want to say, "Fuck, I hate him."
Just reminds you why you hated him in the first place.
Yeah, so then it loses the effect because I'm thinking, do you know what? I really. Oh, did you do that?
Yeah, you get lost in the moments. I love it.
I do, yeah.
All right, Daz. So we introduced a new section a couple of episodes ago, and we'd like a quick quiz question from you.
Brilliant. Well, to be fair,
what are we calling it this week?
Again, I've sort of gone for the quizzy quiz type quiz question.
So you've added another quiz?
I felt I had to.
Okay.
Just to go, it was interesting. We got a couple of people on the Facebook giving an idea who they thought the first one was, and it was Ray Wilkins. And then the one we put out on Friday, I put up on the Facebook again today, and we had someone who guessed it. So that was great. It was Des Walker.
Okay.
So this week I've got 5 clues. Who am I? And I'll put it on the Facebook as well, probably today or tomorrow. And then people can comment who do you think it is. So here's the first one. He's played for 3 Premier League clubs. He has represented his country at under 17, under 23, and has 76 full caps. He's played in the Olympic Games. He's scored 84 Premier League goals, and he has won the Premier League and Community Shield with 2 different clubs. Who am I?
Ooh. So he's a midfielder. 84 goals. Surely.
He's 84 goals.
Yeah, midfielder. Well, winger. Or centre mid.
Or centre half.
Want to name every other position?
Yeah. Yeah. So
we know he's not a goalie.
Well, it depends if he's playing for you.
Five aside, Simon.
All right, Daz. Before we wrap up, what are you wearing there?
I'm wearing my Aston Villa away top. I quite like the colour, and it shows off my non-tan.
I don't know. You got a better tan than me, mate. I am wearing my Inter Milan jersey.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Did you cut the V-neck a bit further down to show off?
No, mate. I did my button up just so I didn't show me hairy chest.
And Thomas, no, forget it.
I don't own a football shirt.
I can't believe that.
Well, I mean, I was nailed on that he was going to have a Liverpool one.
No, I've more one since the gang of fellas that I used to go to the match with said, and instilled it in me very young. It was about 18, 19. If you're from Liverpool and you go to the match, you don't buy a Liverpool shirt.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't wear one. So I just stuck to it, and I've never owned one since. I've had the occasional, like, Father's Day present where you get a polo top with a Liverpool badge on or something, which isn't so bad. But I did put it out on the Facebook or on the WhatsApp, I think, the other week. I did see a Crown Paints retro Liverpool kit that I really thought, with a pair of jeans, that's all right. And
So we're putting an appeal out now to everybody who's listening. If you've got a football top that Thomas could wear,
I don't want it.
I think it's a large, but get an XL just in case. Send it to on the Facebook page, and we'll get it shipped over to Thomas. Any kit you want, he'll be wearing it over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, don't. No.
All right.
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to get an Everton one. Or a United one.
Never going to happen. Never in a million years.
Or maybe we'll do better at some stage, Daz, and the forfeit will be you'll have to wear like an Everton or a United top.
Nice.
Okay. All right, before we push him over the edge, Tom, give us your final thoughts.
Okay, so as it's Mental Health Awareness Week, I just wanted to say, if you're worried about someone, it can be, difficult to know what to do. Or if you're suffering with an issue, and again, things are getting on top of you, or you're struggling with an issue and you'd like to speak to someone, it's okay to not be okay. Don't worry about it. Please talk to someone. I've got the NHS mental health number here. It's 24 hours. You can call free. It's 116 123, and we will put that on the Facebook page. And then if you text shout, that's shout, the word shout, to 85258. That's again a 24-hour free text line, and someone can give you advice or someone to talk to if you're suffering with any kind of issues and you need help and you can't talk to friends and family. But please, we've got a lot of friends and family that are on and listen to these. If anyone is suffering, pick up the phone, give us a call. You have got support and friends that are willing to help you.
Brilliant. Well then, Tom. Daz, final thought? Yeah,
just to reiterate what Thomas said, really. Please go to, as well, on the website, you've got mentalhealth.org.uk. And on the Facebook page, I'm going to put up top 10 tips to help with mental health. And it's just important that, it's okay not to be okay. Give someone a call.
Yeah. Although I almost laughed while Thomas was doing his little speech then, because he said the word shout. What's the alternative to the word shout? You think people are just going to shout at their phone?
I don't know. I was trying to be clear. This time I did read the script because I didn't.
Yeah, well done. All right, so that was a really good episode. I think it's a good contrast doing some of these kind of harder subjects as well. We had a good conversation early on in the podcast. Brought Alan on, who I thought was brilliant. It's great to have a guest on and have a little bit of a change up. But we will talk about this kind of issue on a regular basis because we all feel passionately about it. We all know people that have been through mental health issues, but we also know people who have had mental health issues related to football as well. So we want to make sure we support them. We're here for them. As Thomas said, pick up the phone. We're willing to help. You want to listen to the podcast, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, or you can watch the video on YouTube and watch us make a fool of ourselves, or you can go to the website at www.teameninfootball.com. All right, lads, thanks a lot for that. Really enjoyed the session, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yep, see you guys.